welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, station manager for Manatee Educational Television. And it's been our privilege over the last few years to interview and talk about significant community programs that have started in Manatee and Sarasota County. But on today's program, we're taking that a step further. We're here with Neil Phillips, the founder of Visible Men and the Visible Men Academy, a unique addition to our communities. Neil, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And ever since we first met and we had the opportunity to talk about Visible Men and the Visible Men Academy, I was intrigued and I thought it was a great addition to the community needs.
Well, it's good to hear you say that, and I've certainly felt fortunate that we've had a chance to meet, and we're very excited about this undertaking, and I really welcome the opportunity to talk more with you and acquaint our community with what it is we've got in store.
Well, we're looking forward to doing that. And before we, you have a kind of a unique background and a perspective, and we want to hear all about that. Sure. But before we begin, let's set the groundwork. Tell us a little bit briefly, because we're going to go into detail later, about what Visible Men and Visible Men Academy is, and what's your mission, what's your mandate?
Sure. Well, Visible Men is a nonprofit agency that has been in existence for about 4 years. We have operated primarily out of the Washington, D.C. area, though our reach has expanded, and this effort with Visible Men Academy is an example of that. So Visible Men Academy is a charter school, an all-boys charter school. Ultimately, will be kindergarten through 8th grade. We're going to start at the early elementary school level, and we're hoping to and planning to serve predominantly boys from low-income family backgrounds. And so basically what we do is we immerse boys in the study of success. And we just believe there's tremendous power in imagery, and particularly in success imagery. So we work to immerse boys in the study of contemporary role models, men from their communities and far beyond, who really exemplify the full range of the male experience. And so we want to immerse them and surround them with role models from all walks of life, so that they can, we often talk about C to B, so that there are models out there for them to learn from and ultimately to emulate on their paths to success.
And what a great basis to begin a school with, and especially for young boys, young men from low and moderate income families. They need that type of imagery to perhaps put them on the path to success. Now, one of the things that you're newly approved. You're a newly approved public charter school. Tell us about that.
Sure. So we went through an arduous process through Manatee County and received an approval in late September. Received a charter approval. Thank you very much. That was a big deal for us, obviously. And through that process, we've learned a whole lot about the charter school movement here in Manatee County, but far beyond. And we are just thrilled for the opportunity to offer another school choice for the families of Manatee County. And we're also thrilled by what that means in terms of a partnership with the Manatee County School District, who we'll work very, very closely with to put forth the best educational environment we can.
Now, Manatee County has always been kind of on the cutting edge of charter schools, and the process is, as you said, very arduous and difficult to get through, and to be approved as a charter school is a great feather in your cap to be able to move in. And you've assembled a great team, and later in the program we're going to have an opportunity to talk to some of the people that Neil has put together as part of this team for the Visible Men Academy. But we want to get into a little bit about Neil himself. Now, Neil, you have a really unique background and a very successful background. And can you tell us a little bit, and I know you're a very humble person, but you tell us a little bit about your background. Where'd you go to school?
Well, I went to Cannon Road Elementary School. Was that what you meant by your question?
Well, not that far back, but where'd you graduate from college?
Sure. Well, I went to Harvard University and graduated my gosh, in 1989. It was an English and
You
American.
were just a boy then, weren't
Well,
you?
yeah,
Just,
exactly. It happens quickly. But I was an English and American literature major, which means I read a lot and wrote a lot of papers. But I was fortunate, very, very fortunate. I had very supportive parents all throughout my upbringing, and they really emphasized education. And they emphasized education in a broad sense of the word. Certainly academics and academic achievement was a key part of that. But they really stressed to us that being educated was more than just what was happening in the classroom. Clearly they wanted us to take care of business on that end, but they really wanted us to look at life itself as a learning experience. And so I was fortunate to be around people who emphasized those things and who kept me in line and inspired me and supported me and all of those things. And to have the opportunity to attend a school like Harvard was a real privilege, one for which I am immensely thankful. And certainly that experience has inspired a lot of the work that we're doing now, because there are a lot of wonderful colleges and universities out there.
Absolutely.
But my experience at Harvard in sort of interacting with the folks with whom I was able to spend time, be it in the classroom or on the athletic fields or socially, just really sort of ignited in me a sense that the opportunity to advance yourself through education and through challenging educational experiences, that really imprinted itself on me and has absolutely informed what we're doing now.
Well, what a valuable basis, to have a family that instills in you at a very early age, not only the value of education in the classroom, but outside in the community and in the world at large.
Well, certainly. And the key thing, when I think about family, certainly it's my parents and my sisters, but that family really extends far beyond the people in my home. And, that includes teachers and friends, parents, and colleagues, and everything, and that is a recurring theme for us, because we really, we want to celebrate the individual responsibility in terms of advancing yourself in life, but we also recognize that nobody is successful alone.
That's the key element.
Oh, well, certainly, and so it informs how we're approaching what we're doing with Visible Men as an agency, but also with Visible Men Academy in particular.
But I want to spend just a moment, if I may, with a couple of other things. And you've been the recipient of many fellowships, or several fellowships, I should say, that have really kind of propelled you into a place where you can make, you're considered kind of a leader in the field. Tell us a little bit about those, and specifically, I'd like to hear about the Aspen Institute.
Sure. Well, I'm really fortunate to be a member of the Aspen Global Leadership Network, and particularly in the educational entrepreneurship cohort. So I get to spend a lot of time with some really invested, really wise, and thoughtful and caring people in the realm of education reform. And you said that that sort of makes me a leader in those areas. I maybe not. I can certainly tell you that what it does is it makes me a student. I am incredibly fortunate to be around so much innovative thinking around what needs to happen with regard to educating young people in America and beyond. What is clear to me is that we as a society have to raise our expectations for what we can deliver with regard to educational experience for all of our children. This undertaking on our part is really a result of that. And it's a sense that if we elevate our expectations, then we will all challenge ourselves to provide more. We will challenge our students and families to extract more from the experience, and we'll all benefit, not just from an educational or an academic standpoint, but really from a community development standpoint.
Community and a national and even a global perspective.
Absolutely.
And let's take that, those values that you've learned and the vision that you have, and take that into the Visible Men Academy. Sure. So here you are, an individual, successful and making great strides in education. You said, I need to start a school.
Yeah.
Was that kind of the process? And when you did that, why just all boys?
Yeah.
And why did you want to initiate it here in this area?
Yeah. So I'm going to try not to start back in elementary school. I am driven by a real sense that we can be getting so much more from and providing so much more to our young people across the board. And when I look at young people from lower income family backgrounds, I have just been just absolutely immersed in and exposed to so many wonderful stories of boys and girls who have come from environments that have been challenging on a day-to-day basis, yet they have found ways to manage those challenges.
And succeed.
Absolutely, and succeed, and not just succeed for themselves, but bring others with them. And it tells me that we can be doing that on a large scale in this country. And we should expect to be doing that, and we should demand of ourselves those kinds of outcomes. And as with that as a driver, really the key question for me has always been, how can I impact that? How can I contribute to that movement? And Visible Men is a result of that. It has always felt to me that we have large and growing numbers of untold success stories in our country. And we often focus on the strife and the struggle, the underachievement, the failures, and it's necessary to spend time on those because we've got to be truthful with ourselves, and we've got to look at reality. At the same time, we have to look at all of reality, and I don't believe we're doing enough of that. And in the absence of highlighting these wonderful success stories, you have generations of young people who are growing up, and they're not exposed to all of the things that they can become when they grow up. They're not exposed to these paths.
What an excellent point, because sometimes that the imagery that one sees is not always positive. And if it is a success, it's oriented towards money or fame or one of those things that doesn't necessarily translate into a successful life.
That's right. Well,
and I think and I want to hear more about this. You've assembled a type of a cohort of individuals that are going to be involved with the Visible Men Academy, and we want to hear more about that. But why just boys?
Yeah, so
why is that important?
There's several reasons. If you look statistically in a lot of performance areas across the board, some of them academic, some of them social, you see that boys are struggling in a lot of ways. And that's not to say that girls don't have their difficulties. We love all young people. We're focusing on boys for some specific reasons, though. One of them has to do with academic achievement. And there are there are differing positions on the value of and the sort of successes of a single gender educational environment. But there's increasing research out there that shows us that particularly for students from low income family backgrounds, that single gender educational environments are proving to produce results, very positive results. So that's one of the things that we're hinging on. We also know, and we've all known as parents and educators, that boys and girls learn differently. So a single gender environment allows you to focus teaching strategies, teaching responses, a teaching environment, teaching and learning environment, to focus on those areas in which boys learn differently from girls and vice versa. So that's a real opportunity for us. The biggest thing from our end about the single gender environment has to do with the social education. We think it's absolutely critical that boys learn more and continue to be immersed in environments where they can see a more expanded view of what manhood looks like. we worry about very limited definitions of what being a man is. And for us, a single gender environment will create a community, an environment where boys feel encouraged and they feel safe exploring the broader range of the definitions of manhood and masculinity. And I'm a product of an all-boys schooling environment. My high school was an all-boys school. I was an administrator at that school for...
The Landon School
right.
in Washington, D.C.
That's right, that's right.
Which is a very prestigious school.
Well, it's a wonderful place, and a place that I've been very fortunate to be affiliated with. And what I've learned through that experience are just all the opportunities that you have in a single gender environment to explore these kinds of things at a depth and at a level at which is much more challenging in a co-educational environment. So that's a long answer to why all boys, but it's thoughtful on our part, it's deliberate on our part, and we just are really excited for the opportunity to create an environment where boys feel safe to learn in ways that they're naturally inclined to learn, to sort of to put themselves forward, to take risks in ways that are more challenging. Absolutely, that are more challenging for them in co-educational environments, and certainly this notion of exploring a broader range of what manhood looks like.
And I think that's a very unique and imaginative way to do this, is to bring that type of focus to each individual young man that enrolls in the school. But that's just part of how you're putting the school together. One of the unique things is that you have a mentoring program that you're developing as well. Tell us why you think that's important, and how is that going to be part of your curriculum?
Yeah. Thank you for asking about that. We're really excited about the opportunity to weave the Visible Men mission and platform into Visible Men Academy, and it's really we see it as our distinguishing feature, and it's what we spend a lot of time on in the charter application process talking about. Academic education, we all know, is absolutely critical, and we need to enhance and increase academic performance of our students in the classroom and on test scores and so forth, and we'll always be mindful of that. With that said, we see that the character and social development of our boys to be equally important, and that we don't just want great students, we want great people, and I think we'd all agree on that. So the Visible Men program is designed to connect boys to future possibility. That is what we are doing. We want boys at a very young age to dream about who and what they can become when they grow up. And the stronger that connection to future possibility is in our boys, the more often and the more deeply it's going to impact their daily decision making, their daily judgment, the way they feel inspired to achieve in the classroom and beyond. And the Visible Men platform will enable us to do that. And what we will be doing is we'll have men from the community, from Manatee County, Bradenton and beyond, who will serve as Visible Men for our boys. And this is not going to be an add-on program. This is going to be very much a key element of who we are as a school.
Curriculum, and throughout the school year,
this is exactly
these people will be woven in throughout each and every semester.
That's right, and on a very frequent basis. We're an extended school day, extended school year. School will have some Saturday schooling as well. We're going to have opportunities to have men from the community come and interact with our boys on a very direct basis, and that's going to serve so many different purposes. I mean, one of them is it's going to do what we've been discussing, connect them to future possibility. So many of these men are going to have stories for these boys that say, hey, look, I was you. You know, I grew up in this area, and I had these concerns, these challenges, and these are the ways that I found to overcome them. And so that's going to be really valuable. The other thing is that furthers our interest in connecting our school with the broader community.
And that's very valuable,
Yeah.
because having the community as part of, and parcel of your total picture, it kind of expands your reach.
That's right.
And
for us, we do not draw a distinction between school and community. School is community, and community is school. So for us, that link is critical, and it's integral. And the Visible Men piece to our program will enable that to live, to be part of the lifeblood of the school on a daily basis. And the other key thing that this will do, I mean, we're a new school, and one of the challenges that new schools face is the fact that they lack an alumni. And school alumni, as we all know, provide so many wonderful enhancements to school life. They provide a support, they provide a sense of history and tradition, accomplishment, all of those things. The Visible Men that participate in our program will really, in essence, be honorary alumni for Visible Men Academy. So we feel like it gives us an opportunity right off the bat, right from our opening, to gain the benefits of an alumni
create
network.
your own little history
That's
within
exactly right.
the people that are coming. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people in the community, at all levels. You know, success isn't, you know, how much money you have in the bank, or, you know, whatever. It's people that have done, you know, added something of a value to their community.
That's right.
And I think, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, the quality and the caliber of the people that you bring in, from teachers or a firefighter or a doctor or a business owner, those are the people that are going to come in and talk and be part of this whole process.
That's right.
And I think that's just a wonderful addition to it. Now, one of the key elements of your school is you're looking for individuals from poor families and from lower economic environments, you know, to be part of it. Why is that important to highlight those children? Why are you? What is the emphasis there?
Yeah, the emphasis there is that we think, and we see this on too large a scale, frankly, there is so much untapped, underutilized greatness in our children, all of our children. And the opportunity we're most excited about is to be a part of a larger movement that is demonstrating that children from lower income family backgrounds can receive wonderful educations and can do great things with those and can be great contributors to their community. We should be expecting and demanding that of everyone, of all of us, adults and children alike. We think it's important to demonstrate on a systematic basis that children can and should receive great educational opportunities, and for us to have the opportunity, the privilege to work with children from lower income family backgrounds and help them self-actualize, help them recognize what their potential is and find the paths to achieve that. That's, for us, to be able to contribute to that kind of a movement, it really is. It's an honor and it's a privilege. And we also can't avoid the fact that there's a real need. There are too many of our children who are not receiving an educational experience that will serve them well in the future. And the ripple effect of that shortcoming is too great for us as a society to sit back and to just accept.
And this innovative, imaginative, in-depth approach that Visible Men and Visible Men Academy is going to take is a step as you continue to grow and nurture these young people that come in. And part of that growth and nurturing is in the staff that you've put together, the partners that you've assembled to be part of this. And when we come back, we're going to get an opportunity to talk to some of the individuals who are with Visible Men, who are making Neil's program and idea and concept so successful. So we'll be right back we're going to visit with Lewis Parker. And tell us a little bit about Lewis before we before we bring him on?
Sure. Well, we're just really fortunate to have Louis as a part of our founding team. He has a background, personal and professional background, that contributes so much to what we're doing, and he is invested in this area and absolutely passionate about the work that we're doing. So we're thrilled to have him on board, and really looking forward to having the community have a chance to meet Louis as well.
So don't go away. We'll be right back with Louis Parker from the Visible Men Academy. And welcome back to Up Close on METV. Now we're joined by a special guest along with Neil. Neil, introduce us to Louis Parker, your founding team member with Visible Men Academy.
Sure. I'm very pleased to have Louis join us. As I mentioned to you, I'm fortunate that we've got a founding team of folks who are all connected to this effort in unique ways, and it's one of the things that I'm so excited about in terms of strengthening our team. And Louis joins us with a unique sort of perspective on education from his personal background, so it's really great to have him here and have him be a part of what we're doing.
And Louis, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. And again, you know, I think as Neil was saying, assembling a team of people is crucial to the success of what the Visible Men Academy is going to do. And you come with a lot of credentials yourself as a former executive with GE. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, thanks for having us as well. Yes, I've had a very successful corporate career. I was with General Electric the last 12 years of my corporate career, and was able to ascend to one of the top 40 executives in General Electric. And that's what brought me to the Bradenton, Sarasota area. My last position there was president and CEO of GE Security, which we headquartered in Bradenton. And so it was a very fulfilling career from the corporate side.
And one of the things that, you know, as Neil has mentioned, is bringing individuals on board their caliber and quality will add to the curriculum. And tell us how you feel about being part of that.
Oh, I think it's a tremendous, tremendous opportunity. I've had the fortune of having a great educational background myself, from some opportunities that were provided to me coming up from the inner city in Pittsburgh, and then be able to join Neil and the team with their very background as well. I think it's just going to be a great marriage to make this endeavor work. I have had the benefit of about 30 years in the corporate sector, so I can understand the practical knowledge and how you apply that to the education arena as well.
And one of the things, sort of, if I may say so, is that, you know, talking about mentoring and having a visible mentor, a lot of young people as their heroes. It's in the music industry, or it's a sports star, or, you know, it's somebody connected with an entertainment. And it seems that those individuals who are corporate leaders, successful business people, people in medicine or education, sometimes they don't get that kind of attention or direction towards young people. Tell us why you think it's important to have a wide variety of people involved.
Well, some of it is just simple math. You know, I think it's great for young people to have sort of celebrity figures that they look up to and they dream about being, and all that's fun, it's healthy, it's exciting, it's stimulating. But what we want to do is add to that and actually provide them with images of who they're likely to be, images of folks that are on paths, personal, professional, career paths, that are much more attainable for our young people than being a professional athlete or being an entertainer. Those, again, are wonderful things to aspire to, and if you're working towards a dream, we're fully supportive of that. But what we really want is for you to develop the skills that will enable you to pursue careers that you're actually more likely able to achieve, that are more available to you, that is really what success looks like for the vast majority of us. It doesn't look like television screens or millions of dollars or any of those things. It just looks like key principles that we all apply on a daily basis, character related, work ethic related, attitude related. Those are the things that we really think we need to be putting in front of our young people.
And I think with individuals like Lewis here as being part of that is very valuable. Now, as a corporate executive, you know, in a large multinational company like GE, I mean, it's a very difficult process. But as a young man, were you inspired by individuals in your community, within your schools, to kind of succeed?
Absolutely, but in a very much a different way. I tell people, particularly I talk to young kids a lot before I retired from General Electric, and they say, well, you're realizing your dream. I say, you know, frankly, when I was growing up, I didn't even know these things were possible. So I more than realized my dream. It's, you know, realized things that I was not even aware of. But the way that it happened is really growing up. I grew up in a black community, inner city of Pittsburgh. We were financially poor, and I emphasize that word financially poor because from a family and a community standpoint, we were very rich. We had the nurturing and understanding and encouragement, you know, from my mother and father and from teachers. And that's where my role models really were. My father was not an educated man. He did not, frankly, virtually could not read and write, but he's very smart and one of the hardest working men I know. And he instilled values and integrity and how you go after things. But education was very important to him because he saw how limiting it was in his life. He wanted to make sure that all of us got the right education, which he did. There were 3 of us, and all of us went on to college. My mother, the same way. And was with us every day, both of them, you know, working hard to make sure, while my father was out working hard, making sure that the family was getting what they needed. So those were my real role models. Then, of course, I remember my real role models were teachers. In public school, I grew up with Mr. Clark, Ms. Modrak, Ms. Desmond, all, you know, really taught me, and they invested in us and really taught us that we could do anything that we wanted to do.
And you know, it's interesting that, and I'm not saying how old you are or anything, Lewis, but you know, after all those period of time, to remember the name of a dedicated teacher that made a difference in your life, that in itself speaks volumes for, you know, for the import of education and for the value that somebody can instill in you. Now, Lewis, you know, as we were talking earlier in the program about some of the things and the emphasis that the Visible Men Academy is going to make, what do you see as your role in helping for the continued success of this program?
I see my role as really being a partner with Neil in shaping the curriculum as well as the business aspect. One of the things that is caused the biggest failure of charter schools is not being fiscally sound. So I can bring that experience to the table to make sure that we have that there as well. As you had mentioned earlier, and I certainly learned this in my corporate career, the team is what makes success. And you have to make sure that you have people on your team, you surround yourself. I mean, old cliche is surround yourself with people that are smarter than you or can get things done. And I firmly believe in that, and that's what Neil, I'm not saying I'm smarter than Neil, absolutely not. But surround yourself with team members that brings a lot
brings
of
value.
brings value, and
brings
makes
value,
things happen.
contributes to to the success. Because it is the mandate of the mission that's more important than the individual there, and that's the key thing. But I see, and please, I want both of you to kind of comment on that. Is that part and a very important facet is to bring successful people to interact with the student body. And I think that, that is the role model, for the lack of a better word, but it's more of that, it's those community leaders, those community pillars that you can bring in that people may not know about, people like Lewis. And I can see that as being something that's perhaps is lacking in other schools that you don't see as often. But in your particular case, you're going to be bringing in people who are going to contribute a vision. Is that correct?
Well, I like the way you put that, contribute a vision. And it's really a life vision. And as I said earlier, we really want to connect our students to future possibility, expand their notion of what they can become. To Lewis's point, he couldn't have been in his dream job because he didn't even know that was something he could dream about. Right. And what we'd like to do is make sure that our students know what they can dream about and have them define their own limitations. And so for us, that is absolutely right. And the other piece about it, the visible men side of it, but the community relationships in general, there are a lot of people in this area, in this county and in Bradenton and beyond, who have been doing great work with young people and in the community for a long time. And we'll really benefit from having their experience, their expertise, their knowledge of the community. So we really hope that they will accept all of our invitations to participate and contribute to what we're doing. And this is just one way. The Visible Men program and the delivery of our success curriculum is just one avenue through which that sort of community experience and that community investment that so many people in this community have made and continue to make in so many different ways. It'll be wonderful for us to be able to highlight those folks and have our students know that these are folks who have invested in them, continue to invest in them, and they live right next door.
That's right.
And that
or down the street,
piece, or
they're a neighbor, or
exactly right.
And I think that's a very important part of it, is to have that sense of community around there. The person 2 doors down is a firefighter, or a technician, or a corporate executive, or anything. Now, Lewis, as we kind of wind down on this segment, I want you to kind of tell us what you would say to perhaps other people in your position, retired, top Fortune 500 company individual, executive, perhaps to get them involved with Visible Men and Visible Men Academy. Are there opportunities there for other organizations and individuals to get involved?
Absolutely. One of the things, I'm a man of strong faith, and I always say God does not make us accountable for our sins, thankfully, because He forgives us, but He does make us accountable for the gifts that He gave us and what we do with them. And shame on us if we have these talents, have these opportunities, and don't use that and spend that currency in helping the children or the kids, as we're trying to do now. So there absolutely are opportunities for executives to get involved, other organizations to get involved, because as we've been talking a lot, it's all about the community and expanding the community to make sure that the kids are successful. I mean, we have a particularly acute crisis in low income and Black boys and Hispanic boys, with less than 50% Black boys graduate from high school. And we have to do something about that. And that's everyone, it's going to take everybody to do that. So everyone really has a way to share and a way to commit to doing this.
And it can be people from all different levels.
Absolutely.
Whether you would like to become a mentor, perhaps, or perhaps kind of just see how they could help as a partner or a community member. There's opportunities out there for people to participate. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right.
And I think that's wonderful. But I must say, if I could, Neil, if Lewis is any indication of the quality and caliber of the people that are coming involved with Visible Men, you're definitely on the road to success. And Lewis, what we'd like to do, if we may, is perhaps in future programs we can talk a little bit more in detail about what you would like to see as a kind of the progress ahead. What do you see Visible Men Academy becoming? And I think that's the next step. As you get off the ground and that initial momentum to get going. But where do you see this? Is this something that you can see as seeing maybe a regional, a national, kind of approach to education? And so maybe that's food for another program. Okay. Lewis, I think what you've brought to this program is going to be invaluable, and I think as a founding team member, I think that's the kind of contribution that continues to give back to this community.
Thank you very much, and I feel like I'm very privileged, frankly, to be part of this team.
And when we come back, Neil, who are we going to visit with next?
We are going to meet with another founding team member, Cindy Cavallaro-Day, who is doing wonderful work as we progress down this path, and it'll be great to hear about her perspectives on education and on Visible Men Academy in particular.
Again, thank you, Lewis, for joining us, and don't go away. We're going to be right back. We're joined now by Cindy Cavallaro-Day. Cindy, thank you so much for joining us and telling us a little bit about your perspective on the Visible Men and the Visible Men Academy. But tell us a little bit about yourself, and you come from a corporate background as well?
Yes, I do. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate your time. I do come from a corporate background. I was actually born and raised in New Jersey, and grew up in a small town. But yet in New Jersey, it's the land of the pharmaceutical companies. So actually, I started interviewing after I graduated college from Rutgers University to enter into the pharmaceutical realm, and all of a sudden decided I wanted to move south. So I transferred all my resumes to Florida, and actually my first job, I was hired here in Manatee County with Parke-Davis Pharmaceutical. Started out as a sales representative for a few years in the area. Covered Manatee County, out to Sebring, Avon Park, south down to Sarasota, Venice, and then the territory kept expanding, covering through Hillsborough, Pinellas, and down to Fort Myers, Naples, and soon after moved into management and wound up covering the whole northern part of the state to South Georgia. It was a great opportunity, a big growth time for Parke-Davis. We launched the largest, most successful drug in the world, Lipitor, so it was a great time to be there. And soon after we launched Lipitor, we partnered with Pfizer, and were then taken over.
So, and then you went on to work with Pfizer and had a successful career.
I was total, my pharmaceutical career was 14 years.
Yeah, wonderful.
Just great, just loved being in the community. I found my favorite aspect was really being engaged with the people who I was working with. So it's great.
Well, one of the unique tie-ins, and we talked briefly with Neil about his involvement with the Aspen Institute. Now, you were involved with the Aspen Institute as well. Tell us a little bit about that, if you may.
Yes, I enter from a different aspect with the Aspen Institute. After we were taken over by Pfizer, I just had my second child, and they offered a severance, so I accepted the severance and actually started looking for different consultant work that I could engage in. And coincidentally, I was vacationing in Colorado, and the Aspen Institute had an article, and it just talked about what they were doing with leadership development, where they saw the country and the young leaders as far as cultivation and the programming that they were doing. And I just decided I wanted to be involved, so I called them. I called their office in Colorado, and I said, I don't know exactly what I can do for you, but I'd love to send you my resume. They said, send the resume. if we're interested, we'll call. They called that night.
Oh,
And they said, come in
terrific.
the next morning, and we had a 3-hour meeting. And I met with,
Fantastic.
it was wonderful. Met with the program directors, and we just really shaped what I wanted to do. Like I mentioned earlier in my career, I truly enjoyed being engaged with people of the community. And I didn't want to be in an office environment. I wanted to be engaged with their guests that were coming in. And so I wound up being their director of business relations. That's what the job
Fantastic.
involved. And it's wonderful. It's just I get to meet people in the world who are changing policy and bringing the best practices, you know, and coming together.
And as you found out about Neil and Visible Men Academy, was it kind of a natural draw to be involved with this type of concept?
Absolutely. I was on the same path because what I was doing while I was consulting with the Aspen Institute for 7 years, I would be coming back into the local school system. My children are in school in Sarasota County in the public school system, and I became heavily involved in volunteering. I was doing hundreds of hours per year, wound up being the president of the PTO, wound up being engaged in mentoring programs, reading programs. And I was, you know, with the children and seeing the struggles, the real life struggles. And I was seeing that they wanted to learn, they wanted to read, they didn't want you to go when you stopped reading. And then at the same time, I was flying to Colorado to all of a sudden be exposed to the best practices in education reform that were happening nationwide and worldwide. And I'd come back to the local community saying, can we do this? Can we bring this enrichment program? And it just wound up that the natural for me is I knew my vision moving forward. My kids were getting a little older. I wanted to get more engaged, was to create or be involved with creating an education program that truly supported and wrapped around the children that really need us the most.
And embraces that.
Embraces the whole child, the whole family. Everybody has different needs, but every child wanted to really, truly learn. And I just felt that we could do more in education with, you know, having an extended day, extended school year, really wrapping around the families and embracing. And I was introduced to Lewis, and then shortly after we were all introduced together, and it's one of those meetings that when you sit down, it was just magical, and you just were like, we're all in the same place.
And you know, and that's a very good point, because you know Neil speaks with such passion and a dedication to the Visible Men and the mission and the mandate that they have created. So when that passion and commitment comes through, I can see how people can become, you know, really entwined in that and want to be part of the growth and the development of this wonderful program. But I'd like to take a moment, if I may, Neil, and I'd like for you to comment.
Sure.
Because when Cindy was talking, she's a parent, heavily involved in schools and heavily involved in her children's education. How important is it, and Cindy, you know, please comment if you will, is to getting parents involved within the Visible Men and the Visible Men Academy. There's been a lot of talk about, you know, the teachers only teach for, you know, 5 or 6 hours a day, and after that, it's a parent's responsibility. How is the Visible Men and Visible Men Academy going to become involved with parents and family life?
Yeah, well, your question is such an important one, because we talk about serving the children, and in order to do that most effectively and most thoroughly, the support has to come from a whole lot of different sources, right? So one of our mantras is high expectations, and we really believe that our students should be held to a high level of expectations, and they need the support and the resources to meet those expectations. Parents are a critical part of that support system, obviously. I would say the most critical part. But I don't see it as a linear, you know, students are in the classroom, teacher's responsibility, they leave the classroom, then parents' responsibility, they go to the athletic field, then coach responsibility. I just don't think it works as well that way. I think it works better when we all sort of join hands and arms to say that we're a support team. And so at Visible Men Academy, one of the things we really, really look forward to is being very deliberate about our parent engagement. So the opportunities for parents to spend time at the school, to be involved on a volunteer basis, to work with each other and others in terms of the questions that all parents have. You know, how do we do this better? How do I be a better parent? How do I support my child in his or her academic interests? How do I provide other opportunities? How do I identify where I can be a better parent? That's something all of us have questions with, and we see part of our community involvement and engagement piece as having a very deliberate and extensive parent-partner program. And for us, that's just a critical aspect of how we will be successful as a school.
And I think that's could really add to the value of it. Now, Cindy, you're a parent. You've got kids in school. You know, how do you see that part of your input being valuable to, to this community and to outreach to the parents?
What I found so valuable from my past experience moving forward with Visible Men is truly embracing the family. You know, every family is different, every background is different, every story is different, and I found that it's really an interaction. It's not a matter of, say, these are our volunteer opportunities, where do you fit in? It's more of, what are you interested in? Where do you see yourself being involved with our school? How do you want to become, we're all in this as a community support. I mean, we're not just here as a school. I want it to be that wraparound, we're here. And for parents to truly get engaged, from my past experience, it's more just sitting down, having a conversation, and seeing what the parents' needs are. You know, are they capable of doing this? Are they in a time period right now where their time is allocated somewhere else, but they'll be with us starting in January, where they can give us more time? Some families, travel for work. Some families have long hours. Some families, work a week at a time. So we just need to understand the families coming in, and I really believe that'll help the child excel at schools if we know how we can work with the family.
Now, as a successful businesswoman, busy mother, and an involved partner with Visible Men, what do you want the community to know about why Visible Men Academy is, one, needed, and how the community can get involved and engaged in its success?
Well, the Manatee community has so much to offer in the surrounding areas as far as being engaged into the education of the children. But also it's the nurturing of the child, and our motto is let your light shine. And as a community member, to come in and perhaps work with us on our reading program, or work with us on coming in and cooking one day if we have an event for all the parents that come in. Everybody offers a different talent. If you're interested in education and the well-being of the child, and really helping the child evolve with who they are, letting their light shine, I really believe there's so many opportunities for the community to get involved. We're hoping to partner with many agencies, on volunteer basis, many corporations, to work on an interchange program. Let's show our children, different opportunities within our own, community. What could they possibly do? What does it mean, to work at Tropicana? What does it mean to, it's different things.
That's an excellent thing, because not only do I'm sure you want to make people successful as a family unit, but you also want to say how that family unit is going to function in a greater thing, with good jobs and a good home, and with all the positive things that people should grow to expect and want. So, last word, Cindy. As a mom, you want to say, you want the best education for your children. What do you say to perhaps, like a single mother who's out there and who has some children? Why would you encourage them perhaps to get involved with Visible Men Academy?
Because it's a different approach to education. It's really, truly supporting the family unit. I myself went through a divorce, and at times you feel, as of the single parent, you feel you are on your own, but just know we're creating an environment that's going to embrace the entire child and family. And as a parent, no matter what aspect you come to this with, we are here, and it's a different approach. There's more time with the extended day. We are going to have more time to work with the families. If families do want to pursue individual pursuits, perhaps they never graduated from high school themselves, they want to go back to college, we will connect them with agencies to help them provide that.
Or
you know.
computer literacy,
Anything.
or financial
Yeah.
literacy, or anything those kind of outreach things that can perhaps become part of that entire wheel of which you're developing. Again, Neil, another outstanding founding team member with Cindy, and I think it's outstanding that the combination of people comes together that creates this mosaic of what the Visible Men Academy is. So, again, Cindy,
lucky.
thank you for joining us. And I want to, we have one more guest, Neil, and who's that? Tell us who your next guest is.
Our next guest and founding team member that we're going to spend some time with is Shannon Rohr Phillips, and I am fortunate that she shares part of her last name with me. She's my wife, and obviously an integral member of our founding team in terms of what she will contribute to Visible Men Academy.
All right, well, when we come back, we're going to visit with Shannon. And again, Cindy, thank you for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
Don't go away. We're going to be right back with more of the Visible Men Academy. And welcome back. Now we're joined by the better half of the Phillips team here, and it's Shannon Rohr Phillips. Shannon, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for bringing your perspective to this program. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, if you could.
Sure. So I grew up in coastal Maine and actually used to vacation in the Bradenton Beach, Longboat Key area as a child starting in the 7th grade. Then I always love to share the story. I was fortunate enough to do about a 2-month semester at the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy,
good for you.
where Nick Bollettieri looked me in the eye and said, "You're decent, but you're not quite professional level," and sent me back to Maine. But it was a wonderful experience. I fell in love with this area. My parents, pretty chilly up there in Maine, so we would come quite frequently. And so I grew up in a small family and went to public school for K through 12, and then did my undergraduate work at Colgate University, where I was a French and sociology, anthropology major. And after a few years kind of in the field, went back and got my master's in social work from Smith College in Northampton, Mass. And so the last 20 years for me has really been about serving the community. I've worked in kind of large urban areas as a pediatric social worker.
And what a tremendous field that is on pediatric cases. That must taken a lot of effort on your part to, there's some very unfortunate cases that you've obviously been involved with. But you've moved on, and after a successful career with that, you met this gentleman.
I did,
and,
yes.
This gentleman, Neil here, and how long have you been married, the two of you?
So,
We are going on 12 years.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what a great couple you are, but you're more than just that married couple, you're a professional couple as well. And Shannon, a lot of your background and expertise and knowledge has incorporated itself into the Visible Men and Visible Men Academy. And your leadership has been invaluable. Tell us what you bring to the Visible Men Academy.
Sure.
And from your background.
Sure. Well, first, and I kind of unapologetically like to say that I'm just so blessed because Neil, as a husband and a father of our 2 young boys, is just the kindest man I know. And so when he had the vision for Visible Men, he was an administrator at the Landon School, as you spoke about, in D.C. And it was just a beautiful, very organic birth of an idea for him. And I had, like Cindy, just transitioned after having children and was looking to kind of start doing some work again. And so fortunately, in the early startup days, I was able to wear several hats while Neil was running a school, but giving me great direction on areas we needed research and folks we needed to meet. So it's kind of evolved in the last 5 years. And so now with Visible Men Academy, I feel blessed to bring this kind of background of working with really at-risk families and children, a great understanding of the social service spectrum, early education, I ran a homeless shelter in Washington, D.C., so I really have been blessed to see folks actualize when they're provided opportunity and resources. And so for me, I've been able to really get to know some wonderful folks here in Manatee that are already serving the children that we hope to have at the school. Pardon me. And so my ability to kind of forge relationships in the nonprofit space and to really look at how we design our school and how we listen, most importantly, to the families and the community leaders who already know so much and are doing such great work. And so that's kind of I think the most important piece that I bring to the group right now.
Well, I'm sure you're just like a catalyst for a lot of the things that have come together as well. But and Neil, please give us your perspective on this. To bringing together all of these different individuals, individuals with the corporate background and the business acumen of Lewis, and the insight and the business sense of someone like Cindy, and of course Shannon's involvement with community and families is all part of this tapestry of what you're building. And tell us why it's important to have these different parts of it as part of your school and your vision.
Sure. Well, we've been spending a lot of time talking about the need for schools to be multidimensional. We're serving children, and yes, we want them to be elevated in terms of their academic performance and achievement, but we want more than that. We want to develop young people beyond the classroom so that they can realize their potential and then come back to be contributing members of their community, be wonderful family, in our case, family men, and in order to do that, you have to take a multidimensional approach, and you have to recognize all of the things that impact young people's lives. And you have to try to put those things together in a way that can support them best and that can elevate them to meet these high expectations. So, and then there's another piece of it, which is that we're really excited about being a part of a larger movement nationally, but also here in Florida, that says, we need to think more broadly, more creatively about how we educate young people from all backgrounds. And the education reform movement, to the degree that it is challenging all of us to think differently, to sort of say, okay, there's some things we've been doing with regard to educating young people that have worked. Let us retain and refine those things.
And some things.
But there's some things we've been doing that haven't, and frankly, we've been hanging on to them too long. Let us challenge each other. Charter school, traditional school, parochial school, independent school, homeschool, whatever it is, we should all be allied around great education, no matter what form it takes. And having a founding team that brings different skills, experiences, interests to this certainly does that. And one thing we haven't spent a lot of time talking about, which I look forward to talking about in the future, which is the absolutely most critical part of what we're doing, our teachers, our school administrators, the folks who are going to be in that building every single day, working closely with our students and our families, we want them to bring a whole set of skills and experiences, talents, interests, and creativity, because we think, we know that's how we are going to be successful, is this, you use the word tapestry, this tapestry of experience and expertise and interests woven together for one common goal, which is what is in the best interest of the children that are in front of us.
And I think that's very eloquently said, and I think that's a key thing. And this initial program was here to design, to give that that framework, that broad framework of what Visible Men is, and all of the very talented and dedicated individuals. Now in future programs, Shannon and Lewis here are going to be hosting a program specifically about some of the teachers and the curriculum and the emphasis that they're bringing to their schools, and we'll look forward to producing those programs with you. But one of the key things that you just mentioned, and Shannon, I'd like for you to talk about this, is the new way of doing things. Things that don't work and things that do work. And one of the key things that has come up over and over again is the emphasis on K through 3 education. Is that early learning emphasis, and as a pediatric case worker, you saw the value of that. What are some of the tools that you would like to bring into the Visible Men Academy as they emphasize on that K through 3?
Sure, and I'm glad you brought it up, because part of what we're learning kind of in research sector and in education as well is looking at the emphasis of early education, and looking at how brain development occurs, looking at how social and emotional relationships occur within the family, with peers, and so it's key. And as social workers, our job is again to skill build and help children and families empower themselves for kind of to go on to have wellness and success. So with Visible Men Academy, Cindy and I have actually been very blessed to go out and meet with the early education folks here in Manatee, and it's been wonderful. And having conversations with them about the programs they're delivering,
Exactly.
areas they'd like to see enhanced, and different strategic plans they have. And so we're really looking for strong relationships with early educators in Manatee, because we know that by the 3rd grade, particularly with minority boys, if they're not on grade level in terms of their literacy, the risk factors of tracking into the incarceration, juvenile justice system increase drastically. And so we are about prevention. And so early literacy, really creative, we tend to embrace technology. So the school will be a place where that kind of innovative thinking occurs, and we really commit a lot of time and talent to early education and literacy.
And you're creating that environment. You're creating an environment that will lead from the success of a K through 3 into the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and things. So by creating that environment, initially it becomes that feeder stream into the higher grades as well. Sure. But I want to talk and kind of wrap up a little bit, and I want to give both of you an opportunity to talk about this. How important is it, as you continue your community outreach, to put Visible Men and Visible Men Academy on the radar for this community, and to let them know not only about what your mission is, but how they can become involved. And Shannon, why don't we start with you, and tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, about that outreach.
Sure. Well, again, I also wanted to make sure that the kind folks that we've been working with thus far get recognized. We've been working very closely with the Family Heritage House Museum, State College of Florida.
Freedom Abraham.
Yes,
wonderful
absolutely.
woman.
And Kathy Marsh has just been a phenomenal community ally, opening up her network. A wonderful nonprofit called Unidos Now has been phenomenal. So we've been really benefiting from meeting folks in the nonprofit space, and we invite more of that. And so we certainly want to have more meetings with the nonprofit sector, volunteers. I know Neil, like you said, in subsequent sessions, we'll talk more about our hiring plan. But really we want people to, and essentially we really want to start recruiting the Visible Men mentors for the school as well.
Tell us briefly, because we've talked about this in meetings and everything, about those Visible Men mentors. I mean, this is such an exciting possibility. Tell us a little bit about that, if you could.
I can, and I always like Neil to expand on it, because this is part of what I think was so personally organic for Neil in creating this, is wanting to see more visibility, particularly in minority boys, of different role models. And so really what we'll be looking for is a diversity in that realm. We want successful men from all different ethnic backgrounds, and we define success not by monetary value, but really by what kind of citizen, what kind of father, what kind of worker are they. And so really it's less important to us the pedigree or the degrees, but just good content, good character. And so we're really looking for more referrals, and we're meeting more every day as we're out in the community.
I think that's wonderful. So if people would like to know more about, how can they do that?
Sure, they should.
Can you give us some of that information?
Absolutely. So anyone that's interested in volunteering, anyone that's interested in learning more about the school and the mentoring platform, can email us at info@vmacademy.org. And one of us from the team will respond right away and would love to guide them in terms of next steps.
And I think that's a great thing. We're going to have some more of that information up throughout the program. And as we wind down here today, I want you to take a few moments not only to talk about why this vision is important, but also, you know, I want you to talk about why the community involvement is important. And first of all, I've got to thank you for putting this together, and Shannon for your efforts in making this happen, but also to Lewis and Cindy for participating today. So we kind of get that picture of what Visible Men and the Visible Men Academy is. But for you, you know, that dream, that vision, why is it so important?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that question, and it's so important for me because I feel like we all owe something to all of our young people, and what we owe them is the chance to realize who they can be, and to equip them to pursue that, and that's our responsibility as adults in the community. So we feel really fortunate, we feel privileged, we feel honored to be able to work with young people and help to set them on that path. Honestly, they're our heroes. So to be able to engage with them and to provide something that is going to be a benefit to them, we feel privileged to be in that position. This is about partnership. And it's about partnership in a couple of senses of the word. One of them is philosophical. We want everyone in the community to rally around one thing, which is what is in the best interests of our children. So we want partnership on that. And that partnership is going to take some intangible forms, it's going to take some tangible forms. The tangible forms, for us, we just recognize that communities are strengthened when people come together, when people work together and bring their particular area of expertise, their particular skills, their particular resources. When we all share those and elevate one another through that partnership, that's where success comes. That's where community enhancement and engagement and evolution comes. And that's what this is. So it's a school, but it is more than that. And what we hope that it will be, and what we plan on it being, is a part of a larger community, part of the larger fabric that says we're here for one thing, and that's what can we do to improve the lives of our young people.
Well, Neil, I can't tell you, that was very eloquently stated, and I can see the passion and the commitment and the level of devotion that you and your founding team members have put together. And Shannon, he said it very beautifully, and I can see why, you know, the two of you make such a great team, and the dedication that you bring to this project is critical. Neil, one last thing, if people want to find out more, either about the program or how to get involved, how can they do that again?
Well, there are three ways. One way is we hope that people will take time to visit our website, and that's www.vmacademy.org. We also encourage people to contact us directly, and they can do that in two ways. One is send an email to info@vmacademy.org, and then the second way is to call us. Call our administrative office, and the phone number there is 941-331-4311.
And I'm sure that you, and I hope, and I think people will be encouraged by not only hearing from Shannon today, but from Cindy and Lewis as well, about how they possibly can get involved. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you, for your involvement today, and would welcome you back for future programs where, Neil, you could probably talk something about your curriculum, talk about your the caliber of teachers that you're bringing on board, and the wide variety of things that are going to contribute to the success of the Visible Men Academy. And I would say to Manatee and Sarasota counties, if you want to find out more information about this valuable resource that is coming to our community, please contact Neil and Shannon at the addresses or the email that's up on the screen so you can find out more about it. This is a valuable tool. This is an added tool for this community, for the success of young people that need the success that they have that they're bringing to this community. Neil, thank you again. Shannon, thank you so much.
Thank you, Charles.
Final word, why is this important?
Well, this is important because we've got a whole world of young people out there who need our help to help them realize who they can be. And the better job we do with that, the better off our communities are going to be, our neighborhoods, and our society as a whole. So it's win-win-win.
Neil, Shannon, thank you. And
Thank
thank you for joining us on this special edition of Up Close on METV.